everyone, welcome to another edition of Take Charge Math. Be sure to check the reminders on the right for you to be guided accordingly. Our instructional video is divided into three parts: a quick review, an in-depth discussion, and a short quiz. So I hope you're ready. I'm excited. Let's get started. For our quick review, let's tackle about multiplication of binomials. Here I will present two ways: the FOIL method and the box method. Let us work first on FOIL method, which is an acronym itself. We find the product of terms based on their location. We start with the first term, x times x, which is equal to x squared. The outside terms, x times positive 2, which is equal to 2x. Inside terms, positive 2 times x, which is equal to 2x. And the last terms, positive 2 times positive 2 is equal to positive 4. From the answers derived, we combine like terms, and we will have x squared plus 4x plus 4 as our product. Now let's try the box method. Here we put the terms to their respective cells. Then we multiply based on the intersection of two cells. Then same thing that we did. After getting the product, we combine like terms, and we will still arrive at the same result. So that's one beauty of math. We can have different approach, and you will still arrive at the same answer. Alright, now let's start with our main topic. We call a trinomial a perfect square trinomial if it can be expressed as a product of a binomial, just like the example I provided in the quick review. But the question is, how do we know if the trinomial is a perfect square trinomial? I will discuss the guidelines that we need to check in order for us to determine such. The first consideration is that the first and last term must be positive perfect squares. They must not have any minus sign before them. The second consideration is that the middle term must be twice the product of the square root of the first and last term. Now, let's try our first example. We can see here that the first and last term can be expressed as a perfect square. So that's a check for us. Now, we check the middle term by getting twice the product of the square root of the first and last term. Here we have 2 times the square root of 4m squared times the square root of 25n squared. When we simplify it, we have 2 times 2m times 5n. And multiplying the three terms, we will have 20mn, which is exactly the middle term of the given trinomial. So at this point, we can now factor the trinomial. Using the guidelines in perfect square trinomials, let us simply follow these steps. First, we get the square root of the first term, which is 2m. Next, we get the square root of the third term, and that's 5n. Then we copy the sign of the second term, and that's a minus sign. Lastly, we write the factors as the square of a binomial. And our final answer is the square of 2m minus 5m. Got it? At first, it might be too much for us, but as we practice consistently, I know you will be able to master it. Now, let's try another one. For our second example, we have 9w squared plus 36w plus 36. Let's check if it is a perfect square trinomial. We will see that the first and last term can be expressed as perfect squares. So that's a check for us. Now we see the middle term by getting twice the product of the square root of the first and last term. Here we have 2 times the square root of 9w squared times the square root of 36. When we simplify it, we have 2 times 3w times 6. And multiplying the three terms, we will have 36w, which is exactly the middle term of the given trinomial. So at this point, we can now have factoring. Using the guidelines in perfect square trinomials, let us simply follow the steps. First, we get the square root of the first term, which is 3w. Get the square root of the third term, and that's 6. Then we copy the sign of the second term. It is a plus sign. Lastly, we write the factors as the square of a binomial. And our final answer is the square of 3w plus 6. Way to go for us, guys. I know we can do this. Now, let's proceed to our last example. For our last example, we have 25a squared minus 40ab plus 16b squared. Let's examine if it is a perfect square trinomial. We can see that the first and last term can be expressed as perfect squares. So that's a check for us. Now, we assess the middle term by getting twice the product of the square root of the first and last term. Here we have 2 times the square root of 25a squared times the square root of 16b squared. When we simplify it, we have 2 times 5a times 4b. And when we get the product, we will have 40ab, which is the middle term of the given trinomial. Now we can factor, since we have proven that it is a perfect square trinomial. Using the guidelines that we set, let's do it. First, we get the square root of the first term, which is 5a. Next, we get the square root of the third term, which is 4b. Then we copy the sign of the second term, which is, what do you think? Okay, that's correct. That's a minus sign. And lastly, we write the factors as the square of a binomial. And our final answer is the square of 5a minus 4b. Wow, great job! We are almost done. Let us do a short quiz to test your new learned skill. For our practice problems, check if the given trinomials are perfect square trinomials. Then factor them completely. Remember that you may pause the video. Alright, good luck! Now let's check your answers. Numbers 1 and 3 are perfect square trinomials, while number 2 is not, but we can still factor it, and its explanation will be reserved when we discuss factoring general trinomials. Alright? So again, congratulations! We did a decent work today. Thank you for your active participation. I hope you learned a new skill again on this video. You may watch it over and over again to give you a good grasp of the competency. Also, for additional mathematics resources, you may subscribe on my channel so that I can better assist you in your journey. Again, thank you very much and see you soon.